Why do we have so much shame around our period? I just asked a group of women to share about the first time they got their period. I wish I could say almost everyone, but I'm going to say everyone who shared had some shame around the first time they got their period. Now, scientifically, the first time you experience something usually leads how you're going to experience it in the future and even your whole life. So if there's shame around the first time you have your period, chances are your whole life is going to have some shame around having your period. Now, I've heard people say that if men had their period, everyone would be proud when they started bleeding. Maybe we would even get rest days during our cycles. But you know what? 50% of the population, women and animals who are females, get their period. But you see, shame gets released when we tell our stories in safe places. So let me take a moment to say, right here, right now is a safe place for you to tell your story about the first time you had your period or your struggles and challenges around having your period. I'm going to share about the first time I had my period because I want to release that shame. The first time I had my period, I was at home. It was summer vacation and I was playing with my dog. And then I smelled something really weird. And I even clearly remember I was watching Lizzie McGuire at the time. Now I smelled something really weird and I thought it might be my dog. So I was like, oh, that smells weird. And then when I went to the bathroom, I noticed that my underwear was black. It was so much dried blood and I got so scared. So I quickly threw my underwear away, hid it in the trash can, hoping no one would find out. And I was just hoping, it's nothing, it'll go away, it won't come back. So I went about my day, played with my dog, watched TV. And at night, when I went to the bathroom again, my underwear had dried blood again, of course. And so I got really scared. I threw my underwear again. I went to my mom and I asked her, Mom, when was the first time you had your period? And as soon as she was about to tell me the first time, she stopped and she was like, do you have your period? And I'm like, I think so. Now, at the time, I was 10 years old and I didn't have any education about what periods are or, how you get them, what are you supposed to do. I just knew that women had this thing called their periods where they would bleed. So my mom quickly took me to the bathroom, showed me how to put on a pad, and I remember feeling really sad and I asked her, so I'm never allowed to swim again? Because I thought once you get your period, you bleed forever. And I remember going back to school after vacation and being really shameful about my period. I would hide it. I didn't tell anyone, not even my close friends, that I already had my period. And mind you, I went to an all-girls school. So who is I shameful from? The women who are also going to get their period? It's not fair that women have to be shameful about something so natural. But again, shame gets released when we tell our story in safe places. So I told you my story and I really hope to hear your story. When was the first time you got your period? What happened? Did you know what your period was? And if there was any shame, let's release it. I release my shame around my period. I have my period right now. And you know what? Millions of other women are bleeding right this moment. So let's be unified. Let's bleed together and let's bleed shamelessly. Thank you. I wanted to share a bit more about my period. So the first time I got my period was a hot summer day and I was playing with my dog. I was running around the living room while watching Lizzie McGuire. And of course I was sweaty, I was a young kid and I had dried blood in my underwear. So the first thing I noticed about it was the smell. I didn't even know what it was at the time. And so throughout my life, I've struggled with the smell of my period. I've, just been so disgusted by it. I never wanted to smell it. And the second thing I did when I got my period was I saw my underwear bloody. Okay, I threw my underwear and I pretended like nothing happened. So I closed my eyes to it. I numbed out from it and I pretended like I don't know what that is. I'm just going to pretend like it wasn't there. And so my whole life, I've only ever plugged in my period, which is, wearing tampons. I pretended like it wasn't there. I made sure that I never saw the blood as much as possible, and that way I wouldn't smell it either. So as part of my healing work, I want to build a better relationship with myself, all parts of me, all the different parts of my body, and that includes my period, because that is a part of who I am. It is a part of me. And so one thing I'm doing is talking to her directly. And I even asked her what her name is or what she would like to be called, because she deserves to have her own identity. And so she told me her name is Ruby Red. And so every time I'm on my period, I like to wear red. And I like to honor the fact that she looks like blood, but red, ruby red jewels. And it's so bright and beautiful. And my perspective when I see my blood today is completely different. Instead of being scared or disgusted, I think, wow, that is a beautiful color, and that's coming from me, and our periods, our ruby red time, is a time when us women are our most creative. Our creativity lies in our period and our cycles. So I want to honor that part of me. I want to embrace that part of me. And I am friends today with Ruby Red. And to deal with the smell, I wrote a letter to Ruby Red and I said, I'm so sorry for thinking you smell bad. And she told me life has different kinds of smells all over. The world is filled with all kinds of smells. And it's just different. It doesn't have to be bad. And it's okay that it's different. And so today, yes, my Ruby Red smells different. But I no longer think she smells bad. In fact, I kind of think she smells a bit sweet. I don't know if you know what I mean, but there's some sweetness to the smell. And I'm so grateful for this relationship that I have with my Ruby Red, because I feel better about myself, instead of being in so much pain and crying and being upset that I have my Ruby Red. Today, I am able to make a video, tune in or hone in to my creative self. I eat chocolate guilt-free. I bleed shamelessly. And I just love who I am, because I love the different parts that is brought with me. My Ruby Red was a gift, and I honor that gift. And so what is the name of your period? Why don't you try asking her? Or what do you like to do during your period or your Ruby Red time? Honor that part of you, because she is beautiful and wonderful and creative and magnificent. And I thank you again for listening to my story, and I really hope to hear yours.